Alright, we're back with another tier list video. This is our part one of probably going to be three parts of like the F1 2023 kind of tier lists. This first one, at least the three parts I have set out are this first one is how do I support the drivers? Kind of how I respect them, what I think of them. Like it goes from love to dislike. Next one, part two, that'll be out several days is going to be liveries, me kind of ranking the liveries, what I think of them. It's not specifically the teams, but the liveries. Um, and then I'm going to be trying to, my third part is I'm going to try to be predicting the championship order at the end of the season. We're going to be going straight in. Those are the three parts I have. We're going straight in with Pierre Gasly. I support him. I think he was unfairly done by Red Bull. I think he's a good driver. I don't know if he's championship material or like Red Bull material, so maybe that was the mistake on Red Bull's part. But I think he's a good driver, and I'm glad he kind of got out of the Red Bull stable and went to Alpine. Not sure Alpine was the right choice, but he's doing it. Now, another probably controversial one. I don't care about Lewis Hamilton. Uh, he's very talented, and I think he is a great driver. If this was based on driving, he'd be at the top. I do think he's one of the GOATs. I just don't care for him personally. He kind of comes off as a bit of a baby to me. Um, it's just on the radio, but like in his public efforts, his public affairs, I respect that. But that's the only reason he doesn't get disliked is because of his kind of public outreach and the various other things he's got going on. Bottas, love. Uh, Bottas is one of my favorite drivers. He's, in my opinion, a bit underrated. I think he gets the job done, and he was a good wingman to Hamilton. I do kind of think he deserved the boot for Russell, just because Russell is probably Mercedes' next up and coming talent whenever Hamilton leaves, and then they need to prepare him. So they gotta get him next to Hamilton and get him prepared, learning from their maestro. I don't know how to pronounce that word, but their master. And yeah, Bottas, they had to lose one of them. Obviously, if they need him next to Hamilton, they can't get rid of Hamilton. So I think both fairly and unfairly voted out because I think he was doing a wonderful job, but you can't win them all. De Vries, don't. Well, I'm gonna put him don't care because I don't think there's any driver in particular that I don't like. I think De Vries had a good breakout like Monza last year, scoring his 2 points. Um, Other than that, he hasn't really impressed me. He did he did kind of impress me with his Formula E work, his DTM work. Or wait, never mind. I'm thinking Liam Lawson's the one that was in DTM, I believe, alongside Alex Albon. But still, he impressed me in Formula E. But his Formula One efforts has kind of neutralized that because I would have probably put him in support or cheer prior, earlier in the season. I'm recording this just after the canceled Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. I think this was the right call for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Unfortunate and kind of disappointed we didn't get to see racing, but it was the right call. Um, I can't be upset about it just because it was the right call. The safety is what matters. All right, next Russell is cheer. I would have put him in support earlier when he was at his William days because I really like him as a driver. I do really respect how he like conducts himself and how he drives. I think he's a very talented driver. Like I said, I agree with Mercedes putting him alongside Hamilton, but I don't. He's become more whiny, kind of like Lewis, just having been alongside him now. He definitely has lost some favor, in my opinion. Hulkenberg. I'm gonna just support Hulkenberg. Yeah, I'm gonna just support Hulkenberg. My team is Aston Martin. Probably Mercedes is number two for me, even though I put the two drivers down here. Um, uh, Ferrari or Alfa Romeo is probably second, with Haas being right after those. And I've been a long time standing Force India fan, Racing Point into Aston Martin. So I probably have a bit of a bias for Hulkenberg, Mr. Hulkenbeck. Just having raced for Force India in the past. I've been watching F1 since probably the 2007 2008 season. But I've been watching it consistently. Like I've seen every race since the 2015 season. So I have a bit of a soft spot with him, having raced for Formula One, for Force India. He gets the job done. I don't think he's anything spectacular. I hope he gets his podium one day. I don't think he's ever going to get a race win. He's certainly not going to win the title ever. I think he deserves my support. Having again Racing Point and Aston's former reserve driver, it's Felipe Drugovich now. We're gonna move on to Verstappen. Same thing. I think it's just a thing with probably Hamilton and Verstappen and their dominance. So I just don't. They just don't do it for me. This they. I think I think Hamilton's a bit of a baby. I think Verstappen's a bit of a dick. Both of them are fantastic drivers. I just don't really like the way that they handle themselves. But I respect them for their talent. But that's not what this is based on. Leclerc, love. Speaking of Hamilton and Verstappen, he feels like the underdog in their little trio between the three teams. And I kind of like to root for the underdog, which is part of the reason I've liked Force India, because they've been kind of the best of the rest for a while. So I've been waiting for them to break into the top three, as they have with, obviously, as Aston this year. Even I was caught out by that. Um, I mean, I hoped for it, but I didn't expect it. No, I don't think anyone ever expected it. But Leclerc, I like rooting for the underdog, and I think he's just kind of a bit of a charming man. He beats up on himself too, so I think he deserves a little bit of more faith and help. I can cheer for Sainz. Don't think he's anything spectacular. I think the high point of his support from me was when he was at McLaren. He's kind of lost it since he's gone to Ferrari, which is odd because I like Ferrari more than I like McLaren. And Magnussen, I can cheer for Magnussen. I don't think anything too special, too crazy about him. No, I'm gonna go to support. I'll put the other Haas boy next to the Haas boy, just because of like the efforts he's done in on his return after his 2 years off from Haas. Just what he's been able to do, the high positions in quali, the high race positions, getting that pole. He's really got my respect. I don't think like his opinion has changed me, because I would have put him don't care earlier on when he was next to Grosjean in like 2016, 2017. Um, and he's kind of risen up, and he's kind of took my attention. And Lando, I'll put him in cheer, just because I'm starting to lose respect for him. Not because he's a bad dude or anything. Just he doesn't seem to have the same dynamic with his teammates anymore. It kind of seems like he's becoming phased. I don't know. It's feels like it's been downhill since kind of his loss of the Sochi win. I'm losing faith in him. I didn't have like a super strong support for him anyway. I always kind of supported Russell more than I did Norris when they both came in. Again, probably that was because Russell being the underdog. I say that as he finished higher in F2, but he had Williams as his team. So it's, yeah. Something with that. Perez, love. Again, probably biased and being that he was a long-standing Force India Racing Point driver. Got booted for Aston, for Vettel. Um, and I hate to say it, but for Vettel, yeah, I'm loving seeing Checo in the championship fight this year, and kind of sort of last year. Not as much last year, but I like to see that. I'm a big fan of him. I don't think he's ever going to win the title, but I do think he's earning the race wins that he deserves now. Alonso, I'm going to support him. Uh, Double world champ racing for my team. Not not a whole lot of like super passionate about him, but I definitely get behind him. Uh he's definitely come up. I would have put him in just the cheer, don't care, or maybe he would have been the one driver I disliked when he was at McLaren Honda. I get that that was a terrible car, and I get like to be angry about it. Having seen him from like being Hamilton's teammate, to Renault, like with the crash gate. Not that it's specifically his fault, or not even his fault at all. To just the whiny mopey days of McLaren Honda. I didn't really watch him. Like I said, I only really started watching in 2007, 2008. So I didn't really get the good times of him winning the two championships in 05, 06 at Renault. I have seen those races. I've seen everything up to. I probably haven't seen all of the 2012, 2013, 2014 races. Because I went back through the F1 TV archive and watched a lot of those races from the 80s onwards. So I know I've seen at least up to the mid 2000s. Maybe I've missed a couple here and there through the late 2000s, early 2010s, but yeah, I, so I've seen a decent amount of his work, winning those titles against Schumacher, but I didn't watch him live. I didn't really know the events surrounding them. Just I never latched on to him. But nowadays, seeing what he can do, like since his comeback with the Alpine and now in Aston, I really support him. And speaking of Alpine, Ocon. Uh, I very much like Ocon. I'm not a fan of Alpine as much as I like the two drivers. I don't like the team, but I've watched Ocon for a long time because I used to watch DTM quite a bit. I watched him race for Mercedes. It was him and Matthias Ekstrom were the two I latched onto in DTM, and he's kind of Ocon's kind of the reason I even started watching Formula One because he got his debut with Manor. Um, and then I kind of liked Hulkenberg when I started. Those were kind of the two I picked out, and I just kind of started learning more and more and more. I'm gonna quickly just drop the two rookies down here, just being as I don't know much about them, and right now neither one of them have impressed me enough. I lied. I'm gonna bump Sargent up one, just because solely based on my bias that he is an American. I'm glad to have an American on the grid as an American. Um, I root for him in that manner. And probably the same reason I root for Haas, being an American team. Um, I don't think he's going to really go on to do anything great in F1. I don't have high hopes for Logan Sargent, but I cheer for him solely based on he's American, and it gives me that bit of pride. Guan Yu Zhou, he's started to impress me. I would have put him in Don't Care. But after his Silverstone crash, and I kind of, or yeah, after his Silverstone crash, I kind of started going through his like records of seeing what he's done with races and stuff. Because originally I thought he doesn't deserve a race seat, but he does, and I think that he's doing all right. I can cheer for him when he's doing good stuff or kind of empathize with him, but nothing too much. I'm gonna just cheer for Stroll. Uh, I wish there was a gap between here. I'd put Stroll between them. Here, give me one sec. All right, there we go. Sorry I messed up the coloring scheme, but Stroll, I can both cheer for him and support him because I don't think he's a driver super worth my support. But with his father owning the Aston team, or at least a majority share, I want to support him because I want him to do good. Because I want more money to go into the team. I want them to become a front runner consistently. I mean, as they kind of are now in 23, but I want it to stay. I want it to stick. I want it to be more of a thing. So I really only cheer for him, but I do put some backing behind him. Sonoda, I don't care. He hasn't really impressed me. He goes up and down. He kind of shows his potential, but he doesn't really, I think, anchor on it all the time. He pushes a little too hard, but he's not quite the underdog like Leclerc, and he doesn't kind of own up to it or try to improve. Uh, yeah, I don't know. And Albon in the Stroll category now. Just cheering for Albon. I feel bad for him again. What Red Bull has done with him and Gasly. I don't know if he's super earned it. Or he didn't deserve it, but I don't know if he's super earned his spot in F1 still. I mean, he's doing good in the Williams, so I think he's starting to show that he deserves it, and I'm glad for that. But Red Bull, I think, made the mistake of leaving him on an extra year. Um, what was it for 2020? But then again, the consistency, especially through the COVID pandemic. I I think that's our list. I mean, I'm not too locked in on this, but that's what I'm gonna roll with. If you agree, like. If you disagree, and still want to show your support, give it a like. But feel free to tell me what you think wrong in the comments. What your kind of takes are on this. Again, this isn't a ranking of their driver skill, because by no means is Ocon or Bottas or I think either of the Haas boys better than Hamilton or Verstappen. It's just about their personality and kind of how I feel about them. I don't feel super comfortable about this, but if you want to see the other two parts come in, I've got more stuff in the works. Hit that subscribe button to stay up to date. Up to you if you want to hit that notification bell. I'm working on building our little community here. Hopefully a like safe kind of space, kind of safe area for other motorsport enthusiasts. Uh, I just want to hear about cars. I want to make a little community with cars. But thanks for watching. We'll have parts 2 and 3 up in a couple days, and I've got another tier list that I just finished a little while ago. Uh, coming somewhere in between. All right, peace.